I talk to a lot of people that have lost a chicken to illness. You're just trying to figure out like what happened, and sometimes you might never know what happened. What? But one thing that you can do is going forward, you can take some very simple, common sense steps to avoid illness in your flock, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. Hello friends, welcome to Chickenlandia. My name is Dahlia. I'm a backyard chicken educator, also known as the president of Chickenlandia. Raising chickens has been the best way for me to find peace and joy in my life, and I want to help you find that too. Bubba, you are so beautiful. I love you. He is very healthy, and I'm gonna knock on some wood right now. You're not allowed to get sick, okay? All right, I'm gonna put you down. Yeah. I have seen more than once in my comments on Facebook, on Instagram, and I've even seen it from other educators where they will say, I do X, Y, and Z, and I've never had a sick chicken, and I've had chickens for 50 years or whatever. And you know what? As the kids say, cap. Which means, honey, you are not telling the truth. Unless there is just some miracle going on, if anyone has had chickens for any period of time, eventually they're gonna come up against something. There's gonna be some kind of illness in the flock. There's gonna be some kind of issue in the flock. That is normal. That, you know, when you have chickens, it's kind of like you have this mini society. And within that society, the chickens are gonna react differently to different things in their environment. They're gonna have different immune systems. They're gonna be bred differently. And, you know, probably eventually one of them is gonna get sick. And it doesn't matter how good of a chicken keeper you are. So it bothers me when people claim that. Number one, because just to be very frank, I don't believe them. And number two, I think it's unfair to give people that expectation, because then what happens is they end up feeling really guilty if one of their chickens gets sick. It is true that with good care, a chicken can live to be 10 years or older, but especially with production breeds, that's actually not that common. Production breeds are just not bred for resilience. They really aren't. And they're different from the chickens that we had even 100 years ago. They've been bred to lay and lay and lay as much as possible during that first year or two of their life. They haven't been bred to, you know, do whatever is possible to live a really long, healthy life. That doesn't mean I'm telling you not to get these kinds of chickens, but you should know that going in, that, you know, usually around like 6 years, I would say 4 to 6 years, that's kind of the average for production breeds to die. And it usually has something to do with either their digestion or their reproductive system, which is a lot more intertwined in chickens than it is for people. All that being said, there are some things that are within your control that you can do in your flock, some super easy, simple, common sense things that you can do to hopefully give your flock as much of a long, healthy life as possible. And that's what we want. We just want to do the best that we can, don't stress out, and make sure that the experience that your chickens have while they're here, no matter how long that they're here, that it's a good one. But of course we want to optimize health. So let's talk, oh my goodness. So let's talk about some very easy steps that you can take to hopefully avoid illness as much as you can in your flock. These are some tips that I got straight out of my book. It's called Let's All Keep Chickens, and I want to share them with you now. All right, number one is provide early and unlimited access to nature. Chickens and even baby chicks belong outside as much as possible. So from the time you bring your baby chicks home, keep them in for a few days, make sure everybody's doing well, but definitely after a couple of weeks, you do want to give those baby chicks exposure to their outside environment so that they can build resilience to the things that are naturally around them that they're supposed to have immunity against. So we want to build that slow immunity, and there's also just something about them living living the way that they're supposed to live. I think that that makes for healthier chickens. It makes for more resilient chickens, and it means that your chickens are probably going to live longer if they are living the natural life that they are supposed to be living outside in nature. Support your chickens with good, balanced nutrition. Now, I love to ferment my feed here in Chickenlandia. I'm not doing it right now because I have a duck. She's not cleaning her face properly, so she gets the fermented feed all over her face and it turns into like cement. So right now, I am giving my chickens a really good quality pelleted feed. But if you can ferment their feed, do that if you have the time and the energy to do that. And also provide them with healthy kitchen scraps, and you can also give them a little bit of treats. Make sure they're healthy treats. You don't want to have an unbalanced situation. I do have a video that goes into more of this. I will leave that in the description, but don't go to it now because I have more to tell you. Right, E-Bear? Okay, number 3, this is super easy, but it's so important. Make sure your chickens have enough space. I say in Chickenlandia, there are not many problems that can happen with chickens that cannot be solved by giving them more space. And if you have too many chickens for the space that you can provide them, you probably should downsize your flock a little bit. I know that's really hard to do for some of you. It would be hard for me to do that, but the fact of the matter is chickens that are overcrowded, that is a situation that can very easily lead to disease. So if you're finding yourself in that situation, just handle it. You know, give your chickens more space if you can, or trim your flock down a little bit so that the chickens that you keep can have more space. That is going to be so important for their health, I promise you. Okay, this last one is another no-brainer, but it is very important. Do your best to practice good husbandry. And I say that with no judgment. I have been in situations where I didn't feel good for a period of time. And I had a baby and I had chickens, and during that time I really felt like I wasn't doing enough. You know, I really wasn't staying on top of my husbandry practices. If that's a situation, you really need to try and get help, get some support from your friends, from your community. It really is common sense. If you keep your coop relatively clean, not sterile, because that's actually not good for them. Like, they need to have some exposure to things. Relatively clean and having enough space is going to really help with that. That is going to play such a huge role in your chicken's health, because if they are repeatedly in a stressful situation, a chicken coop that is too soiled, ammonia buildup is a big one. They're in this environment that is ripe for disease. That's not a great situation. You know, we know what will happen eventually in that situation. So if you're having trouble, handle it, you know, be honest with yourself. What can I handle? What do I need help with? Asking for help is a really good skill to have. It's a really important skill to have. I know a lot of people struggle with that, but you got to ask for help sometimes, especially as you get older. You got to learn, well, you know what? I need to ask for help. Okay? And it'll be good for the other person and good for you too. So handle it and you'll feel so much better, and so will your chickens. I do want to clarify something, because I always feel guilty when I kind of talk like this, but I never want to disparage other backyard chicken educators, because they are out there doing the important work. I don't always agree with everybody, but for the most part, I really love what other people are doing out there. I learn from them, and that's really important. And the main thing is the work that they are doing is keeping chickens out of factory farm situations. And that is super important to me. So while sometimes I do get frustrated with the way people might say something or the claims that they might make, I never really want to disparage anybody. I just also don't want anyone to feel bad, you know, about their chicken keeping. You know, if your chicken gets sick and you lose a chicken, you already feel bad. You don't want to feel like it's something that you did wrong. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably nothing that you did wrong. It's probably not. And that chicken, while they were alive, I know I say this a lot, I got to repeat it, I got to say it to myself a lot. While that chicken was alive, even if it was for a short time, they weren't in a factory farm. And that's so important. I gotta tell you, there was a time when I was really struggling with that because I had some serious illness in my flock and I lost a few chickens. This happened to me, I think it was like a couple of years ago, and it was super duper stressful, but we got through it. Like I did everything I could to get through it. So I am also not immune to this happening, okay? It happens to the best of us. I have a playlist about this whole situation, you know, what happened, how it unfolded, how I ultimately helped my chickens get through it and we got to the other side of it. That playlist is on the screen right now, and it could really help you if you end up in this kind of situation because it happens to the best of us. It really does. The other thing I want to tell you is that it's 100% friendly. Backyard chickens, education, and entertainment. And I know you're gonna love it. You guys were crowing a lot when I was trying to talk.